As we kick off the new year, there's a lot of factors that cattle producers need to think about. And Derrel, one of those is trade. So what's the trade picture looking like?
Well, the last 2 years we've had a tremendous amount of trade uncertainty. We've had a lot of different issues. As we saw 2019 come to a close, we began to sort of clean some of those up a little bit, at least hopefully. They're not quite done yet, most of them, but we're on the verge of finally ratifying the new version of NAFTA, USMCA. So hopefully that'll be done soon. We do have a new bilateral agreement taking effect with Japan. That should help a lot to sort of recoup the position that we lost when we pulled out of the TPP agreement a couple of years ago. And we're on the verge, hopefully, of signing a partial trade deal with China, which will begin to unwind some of the issues we've had with them. So all of those things are very positive as we go into 2020. Looks like the potential for beef exports to pick back up a little bit this year, and the overall beef trade picture to be more positive this year looks quite a bit better at this point.
So what's the beef demand outlook going to be like?
Well, aside from the international component, which does look better, domestic demand has also been very strong through the last 2 or 3 years. Been one of the keys as we've increased beef production cyclically. We finished 2019 pretty strong on beef demand. So, again, it's sort of so far so good. Consumer spending is strong, unemployment's low. All of those factors are helping beef demand. Now, we do have lots of meat out there. We are looking at record or very near record production of beef, pork, and poultry. So there's lots of meat, and there are reasons to pay attention to that, but at this point in time, looks pretty positive to continue what we've been seeing on the beef demand side.
Well, sticking with beef production, how does the beef production outlook look for the year? I know it's pretty early, it's January right now, but what are you hearing?
Well, in terms of the overall, sort of big picture, cattle numbers appear to have stabilized. We'll be looking for the new annual data that'll come out in a couple weeks to confirm that. Beef production is very near to a peak cyclically, so it's not going to go down. We actually expect it to go up slightly again in 2020, but more stable. So, relative to the growth we've seen over most of the last 3 or 4 years, beef supplies will put less pressure on the market. Again, we do have those other meats that we also have to look at as well. But the overall supply-demand picture looks pretty favorable at this point.
Well, it's a new year, which means there's new risks that cattle producers need to start thinking about. What are some of those risks that you think that they should be aware of?
Well, there's several things out there that, obviously the trade issues, again, we're beginning to resolve some of those, but I would say that they're not over yet, so we have to continue to see that. There's uncertainty still associated with that. So the overall macro situation is still a little bit vulnerable. The U.S. economy is still growing, but it's growing pretty sluggishly and probably a little bit slower in 2020 compared to 2019. So all of those factors. And then, the final one probably is the fact that it's a presidential election year. So there's a little bit of a wild card associated with that. I think we can continue to expect some uncertainty and some volatility in these markets, even though the overall picture looks a little more positive.
All right, thanks, Derrel. Dr. Derrel Peel, Livestock Marketing Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.